Hi guys, this is going to be your second reading video for the week of November the 2nd. This story will be found in your new reading booklet on page 6 and 7. So if you will turn in your new reading booklet to page 6 and 7, you can follow along with me as I read. All this week we have been talking about our essential question, why do we need a government? And we are learning about what government is and how government works and why it is important. As we study different stories throughout the week, hopefully we're going to learn a little bit more about government and what exactly it is. So today, I want us to think about making a connection, and I want us to think about summarizing and synthesizing. In this story, Can You Sew a Flag, Betsy Ross, we're going to be reading the story and making a connection between the characters. We're going to be thinking about point of view and how a story can be told from that character's point of view. In other stories that we've read in the past, we have made a connection between the characters. Remember that when we make connections, we're thinking about how that character relates to us or how that story relates to us. Remember that I can make a connection by thinking about something in my own life. Maybe I know someone like that character. Maybe I've read a story about a character like that before. And so when we make a connection, we're able to better understand what a character is going to do and the decisions that that character is going to make. So today, we're going to look at this story and we're going to try to make some connections, but we're also going to be thinking about point of view. As I think about the point of view is how that story or that character is sharing their story. And so sometimes if a character is telling a story, it will be told from their perspective or from their point of view. If the story were told by a different character, their perspective or their point of view might be a little different as to what happened, and that would change how the story is read or what happens in the story. So let's practice today as we read this story. As we read this story, Can You Sew a Flag, Betsy Ross by Cindy Peaty. Something wild happened in the shop today. Mrs. Betsy Ross took a break from sewing to have a tea and a biscuit. I sat on the floor nearby, hoping for a crumb. Then the door flew open, and in walked General George Washington. I'm going to stop right here and I want us to think about who might be telling this story. Whose point of view are we hearing from? The first thing I want to do is look at the pictures. I see in this picture someone entering the door, and from the story it tells me who that is. In walked General George Washington. So here we have George Washington. We have a lady sitting in a chair. And over here we have a lady and the same man. They're talking about something on the table. And right up here, I notice a mouse. Now, he is up on this shelf. He's not very visible, is he? I don't even see him in this picture. But when the author shows us a bigger picture, it zooms in and look what's sitting on the shelf. A mouse. Let's think about who might be telling this story. He's talking about Miss Betsy Ross took a break from her sewing. I bet that is this lady right here because I notice on the table there's thread and cloth and she's been sitting down sewing. So here's Betsy Ross. He says that in walked General George Washington. So I'm guessing the mouse is telling the story because he's describing what he is seeing. Let's keep reading. "What can I do you for, sir?" Betsy Ross asked him. "Our country needs a flag," General Washington said. "The citizens should have a symbol of our freedom. Can you sew a flag?" General Washington held out a sketch of the flag that he wanted. "I see that your stars have 6 points," Mrs. Ross said. "I think a 5-pointed star would be better." So they're discussing, they're talking about it. Because I already know that the mouse is telling the story, I want to focus on what he tells us about the other characters. The way the mouse describes the other characters is his point of view. The mouse expresses excitement when he sees George Washington enter. He says the door flew open and in walked George Washington. Notice that it ends with an exclamation point, so I know that the mouse is excited about that point. This expression is important because it gives me an idea of what the mouse thinks of General Washington. I'll think about what the mouse tells us about Betsy Ross, too. He tells us how she greets General Washington by asking a question. "What can I do you for, sir?" The way Betsy Ross greets General Washington shows that she is helpful and polite. She's asking what she can do to help, and she calls him sir. By looking at what the mouse tells readers about General Washington and Betsy Ross, I can tell that he thinks highly of both of them. Let's keep going. Mrs. Ross folded a piece of fabric, picked up her scissors, and cut a 5-pointed star with just one snip. General Washington was amazed. So was I. For days, Mrs. Ross cut and stitched 13 5-pointed stars, and 13 stripes represented the 13 colonies. When George Washington returned, Mrs. Ross proudly displayed the flag for him. A new flag for our new country, the United States of America, he proclaimed happily. From these sentences, I can tell that Betsy Ross worked hard on the flag. Look at the details the mouse tells us about how she worked. It says that for days she cut and stitched, and it shows a picture of her finished product, the flag. So I can tell that Betsy Ross worked really hard to finish the flag for General Washington. Look at what it says of how she feels about her work. When General Washington returned, Miss Ross proudly displayed the flag for him. She proudly displayed the flag means that she was very proud of the work that she had done. And so she had took great pride in making this new flag for the new country. I can also see that he looks like he is pleased with the flag, right? Look at what he says, a new flag for a new country, the United States of America. He proclaimed happily. Happily describes his reaction. I can also tell by looking at the picture, he is smiling in the picture, and so is she. That tells me they are both proud and happy of the work that's been done. As I look at the mouse, it doesn't mention him this last part, but he's telling what's happening, and I notice that he is sitting on the shelf looking on at what's happening, and notice his expression on his face. He is happy too. So the mouse is pleased with the flag as well. When I think about this story and I think about point of view is how a character reacts to events that happen in the story or how they feel about a story that is being told. When I read a story from a character's point of view, I can tell how they think, I can tell what they feel, and I can tell what happened according to them and their reaction. This story was told from the point of view of a mouse. Can you think of another story that you have read that is told from another character's point of view? We're going to be looking at some others this week. I know of one in particular called Grace for President. And we're going to be reading it later on and thinking about those characters' point of view. And we're going to make connections with those characters. So as we think about point of view this week, think about how it relates to a story and what you can learn when you read a story from a character's point of view. That's all for today. Bye-bye.